Okay. I am a big believer in removing authority from leadership, and making things a lot more democratic than having an individual leader driving decisions. And it's not necessarily for the sense of like fairness and all that kind of stuff. Although that's a really big thing. I think a big thing that we forget about with authority is that it puts you in unusual positions where leaders have to make some sort of choice that goes one way or the other. And often there's not enough information to make good choices um, in terms of what is the appropriate thing to do. So I think in most circumstances, when you're put in if you're in a leadership position and you are put in a position where you have to choose and it's painfully not clear in terms of what to do in that circumstance, and I know that's basically the definition of leadership, I think we need to remove authority from any of the particular leaders that are in that particular role. And it's simply because it creates a lot of ambiguity and uncertainty. Drives a lot of moments that I don't know how to say this, that could go one way or the other, and in different circumstances they might present in a different way. So I think to guard against those tricky decisions, we should look to push away as much authority from individuals as possible and look for ways that we can give many people the decision to vote or to do something, to make a decision. Now, there is a catch with this, and this is where I struggle with it, is that often we can make decisions a lot quicker, and if done right, and if it's a simple enough decision, um, you can actually get things done a lot better and a lot quicker with a single individual that's doing a leadership role. So I've got a guest here. I'm just going to listen to what they have to say quickly. I'm just on my drive home, so unfortunately I can't talk too quickly or too long. But let's just get this first guest in, and I want to think about it, or we want to have a conversation. So, hello, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Nice to meet you. I'm Dave, and how are you doing today?
Yeah, I was listening to your wonderful space and I was really inspired by your topic. And I thought that what's really interesting is even with the importance of leadership, I think we always can learn and be learning. I think there's a fact of that with leadership, you don't always have to be the person who knows like the knowledge of that topic. And I think it's quite interesting when you say an authoritarian, because I think there are some of the leaders who do get leadership confused with the word authoritarian because of the different leadership styles which are out there, which individuals have. So, yeah, I just wanted to share a bit of my point of view from the kind of definition of leadership and contribute to this wonderful space which you've created.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it, and that's a good point. And this is the tricky thing is like we we venerize leaders in a lot of different ways, but that venerizing is problematic.
Mm.
Under many circumstances, right? It's not just under when there is an authoritarian leader that sort of does everything, but it's also the fact of
Yeah.
it's very stressful for that leader as well to make those decisions, and there's often not a right choice.
Yeah.
There's really not. So I think the more that we can push away decisions from individuals by themselves, the more that we can make appropriate decisions.
And I think it's such an important point what you just said, because there's no there's no harm in being vulnerable as being a leader as well. And I think you always have to understand that you might not always be on top form. And I think there's that factor that don't be scared to ask for help. I think there is a factor that some leaders, they may have trust issues. Like, sometimes it can be an issue to have trust issues within a climate where you might have questionable views about situations because of past experiences. But I think there is sometimes where, you can sometimes kind of rely on help if you can. And I think, there's that factor of not being vulnerable. Just do your best. I think that's a really important quality of being a leader. Do your best and always make sure that, we sometimes can kind of put the barriers too high for ourselves. However, I think there is that ability where, if we just be true to ourselves, then we are able to be a wonderful leader and also be able to empathize for others as well that may not be in the same situation, or, give them a platform and support each other as well. I think, that's a really important quality, that we do need to support each other within, these leadership environments, and be able to kind of get other leaders' point of view as well. It's quite interesting, and it's good to kind of get other feedback sometimes.
It's such an interesting sort of conundrum, right? Because to lead, you have to push. In my view, to do it well, you have to push away a lot of the decisions to other people. But then at the same time, sometimes you need to sort of move things along. And so it's this like gentle process of trying to figure out, how, obviously I'm a big fan of sort of pushing away authority to other people. But then also figure out how you can coordinate and listen to people and sort of make sense of the situation. That's a lot. It's leadership, I think, is sort of misunderstood in the sense that it's somebody that's standing up and doing everything. But to be honest, it's more of trying to rely on other people and pushing all of those decisions as much as you can to other people.
Yeah, to some extent, and I think it is a factor of kind of both components, but I think it is a factor that leadership can sometimes be a changeable thing within a situation, depending on the circumstances as well. And I think, there is that factor that, well, from my own experience, I would say that I found that there was issues, and I thought, right, there needs to be something change. And then I found that I didn't really have the skills, because I don't think within a leadership you can kind of have the skills. You can either be a leader or you can't sometimes, or you may end up kind of being good at it, but not really knowing that you are doing leadership skills. So it's quite an interesting thing, what I would say in my perspective. But I do think there is that factor that it takes both qualities. And yeah, I think it's a conversation that needs to be had on a topic each time in general. I don't think it's probably talked about or analysed as much as it could.
Yeah, I agree. I think we should start thinking about these topics a little bit more. But I welcome, and I want to say thank you for giving me a shout and participating on this community, on the reciprocity community. And I have to duck out at this moment. I promised that it was going to be a short conversation for everybody. I just wanted to, I'm going to see if I can, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody that was part of the community today. And the biggest thing that I want everybody to realize is that leadership often does involve a lot of mentorship and a lot of empowering other people. And I think those terms should be used a lot more in terms of leadership, in the sense of, letting go. That's one thing I sort of talk about in my own classroom when I teach about this, is that there's a massive moment where you have to let go and you realize that you can't do everything, and that's the way that you actually become a bigger or a better leader, is when you realize you can't do everything and you let other people shine, given the constraints that are around. So I just want to say thanks to everybody that's here. Robert again, Ryan, Queen, Clint, Creed, Jennifer, Richard, Anna, Sudoku, Monday, Diane, Spacey, Joe, Bill, Roberto, Kimmy, Anna, and I apologize for your name, Aquani.
Yeah,
It
me.
was
Yeah,
amazing
thank you for
talking to
having me, and
you.
thank you everyone who listened in as well.
It was beautiful getting to know you, and hopefully we get to chat a little bit more in the future. And I love talking to people from the other side of the ocean. It's very cool. All right,
Likewise.
take care, everybody. Have a good one.